morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Welcome to Rockin the Love. I am Robyn.
And I'm Gil, and we are excited that you have joined us here today on this Wednesday in April 2023. Woo!
This Wednesday.
This
What a good
particular
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
This particular Wednesday. So, for those of you that don't know, Gil and I are married and we're living in two different states.
Woohoo!
A state of confusion. Most of the time is where we find our common ground. However, Gil is in New Mexico and I am in Oakland, California. And today is our wedding anniversary.
No, it's not just our wedding anniversary. It is our 21st wedding anniversary, which I believe means we are now
Old.
fully adult people.
We're legal. We're legal. Yeah, it's true.
Woo!
It's true. I actually told Gil this morning that I was pretty sure that even if our marriage didn't work out and it ended, that I would still have the record for the most years married to him, even if he found somebody else.
She doesn't think I'll last that long.
Well, I am wife number 3, so I was a little bit in competition mode, but I won all the way around. So yeah, happy anniversary.
Thank you.
So
we are very excited today. Very excited. We have a great show. A great theme, and more than that, a great guest. And what do you want to say about that?
I want to say that we're not going to idly banter for a long time because we want to get to our guest.
Okay.
So if you're watching, please like us and leave us your and like our social media pages and all those things, and let us know where you are in the chat. Let us know you're there, and we'd love to have you talking to us and hanging out today with our special guest, Rickie Byars. And for those of you that don't know Rickie, I don't know where you've been, but we're going to tell you all about her in a little bit. And what else?
Well, I'm just excited. We're talking about in the beginning, and it just really made me think about 21 years ago on a beach in Hawaii. And a fun thing about that, we'll talk more about that later, but a little bit. But just this idea of how relationship morphs and grows. And I just want to, anybody that's been following CSL themes for the last little bit, we've been talking about vulnerability in Centers for Spiritual Living. And in a vulnerable moment right now, I'm just sharing that Robyn has been doing way more than the average human being should have to do to keep their spouse afloat. So I just want to appreciate you for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I'm sure that will come up in conversation.
Okay.
So I think the best thing to do is not talk about our weeks, but to get to the good news. So
okay,
here's the good news. So this is a segment where we like to talk about what's good in the world, because we all know what isn't working as well for us. And if we don't, we can turn on any news channel any time of the day. So we like to find something that is good, something that is happening, because there's so much good going on in the world, and it doesn't always get acknowledged. So, Mr. Olmsted, do you have something?
Well, I did actually come across a very fascinating little piece from India, believe it or not, on ecological restoration, and this community and the various people in the community, and along with the government, made a commitment to change the path of the river, to change the path of what was happening there. And this river virtually had died, and it's now thriving because they put some effort into it and some time into it, and they had some vision. And I think that's just such a wonderful thing when you can have people come together around something like that and see the possibility, instead of just allowing it to continue to move in a direction that feels, like it's taking away. See the possibility of what can be created. And so I just was in awe of that. And so that was my piece of good news for today. What about
I
you?
I too was in awe of that, and that was my piece of good news. However, I have two. But what I found really great about that was the river has actually been restored, and there is new life in it, and there is fish, and there people are able to do fishing and whatever they were living off of it, and so like everything is really back, and it's such a great show of not only working together, but really holding a vision like that for your community and your world.
Well, I think it talks about relationship so much too. I mean, everything is related. And we're always in relationship with something, and whether it's our world, our environment, or it's other people, it is um, it is always a not a task, but an opportunity to really look at, well, what does it mean to be in relationship? What does it mean to be in relationship with the creation that's all around us?
Yeah,
So I thought that was pretty cool.
it is very cool. And I want to welcome Coach Constance and John Chastain out there. Thank you for the anniversary wishes. Thank you, Constance, for being here. And so I'm going to tell you about my other story, and I'm going to just I'm going to make it short because I started not to do it because it felt like a kind of story we do a lot, but I have a point at the end of it, a new point.
Okay,
So this
let's hear
is
the point.
okay. So this is about a woman who was an Uber driver, and she went to pick up her passenger, um, and at one of the stadiums, I think in Atlanta, and um, they were great. They had a great conversation, um, and they really connected. And you know, after 20 minutes, she dropped him off at her destination. During those 20 minutes, she told him about her life and how she had three kids, and she had a kid when she began having kids when she was 16, and she was a single mother, and um, she had wanted to go back to school and go into criminology, and she signed up and she started going, but things happened, and then she had to pause because they wouldn't let her continue because she had a $700 bill and they didn't do payment plans and blah blah blah. So now she was doing Uber to get money, and those kind of things. She had gone to school and gotten her hairdresser license, but hairdressing was going really slow, and all of those things that happen in life that threw her off the course. And so I mean, where the story's going, right? So at the end, the when the guy got out, she looked at her whatever on her phone, and he had given her $150 tip, and she was over the moon, excited and thankful. And then the next day, or the Monday, she received a note, and it with a picture from the school that her bill had been paid in full, and that she could start back as soon as she wanted to. And she of course was like, "Oh my God, I'll pay you back," and all that. And he's like, "No, the only payback I want is to be invited to your graduation." So she graduated, and he went to the graduation, and they were all good. And I guess this story has exploded, and this has been a few years. It's not that as recent, but it's been through the years. And then they were on Ellen, and Ellen gave her from the Cheerios committee a $25,000 to pay off all of her student loans, and the company also gave him a gift for being such a good Samaritan that he could travel anywhere in the world because he loves to travel. And what I really love about this story is how many people along the way have been inspired by this story, because I know that this story has taken years to tell, but I feel like these are the kind of stories that like really inspire people to do something different and really stand in that place of just paying it forward a little bit. So that's my good news story.
That's some good news. And I want to add, how often does the little thing that we do make such a huge difference in somebody's life? So when the opportunity arises and we can just offer a little something into someone's life, that taking that opportunity, which sometimes, we have to push ourselves to even, but how much it can make a difference in somebody's life, and that story is one of those ones that, sort of amplifies that, but it happens all the time, and it happens from the smile on the street to the $25,000 gift, I mean, everything in between.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's so true. It's so true. Yeah, just when you said that, it reminds me, I always remember one day when my mom was driving me to school and I was about 7. And I remember looking out the window at this woman standing on the street corner in LA. And I was clapping to the song, and I was clapping like this because it was when that was fashionable to add the extra loop into the clap. And she thought I was waving at her. And she stood there and she smiled and she waved so brightly and so happily. And I could feel the joy. And I mean, I'm talking a lot of years later, people. I mean, this is, 50 years later that this is still something in my life that I'm touched by and that I connect to her on. So we just don't know. We just don't know what we're doing, how we affect people, how the good we do affects someone.
Oh, I thought you were just going to stop with, we just don't know what we're doing. But anyway.
I know what I'm doing. I'm going to go to break because I can't wait to get back here with our guest. And I want to welcome Susan out there. I can thank you so much for coming.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And she says,
and anyone else who's on, let us know. Oh, Sherry Lynn is here. Thank you, Sherry. We're glad to see you.
All right. So enough said. We are going to take a break and we will be right back here on New Thought Media Network with Rickie Byars. And we're back.
Hello, everybody. We are doing Rockin the Love today. It is our 21st anniversary. And more important than all of that, we have our special guest today. And if you don't know and love Rickie already, we're going to introduce you to Rickie Byars, who's an incredible musician. And more than a musician, she is a light, she's a love, and she brings forth so much. If you look at all the things she's done and all the things she's doing, it gets overwhelming. There's so much. So we're happy to know her as a professional and know her as a friend. And we thank you so much for being here, Rickie.
Hey, happy anniversary, you two.
Thank
Come
you.
on now, just rocking that love.
Unbelievable.
Man, I'm so proud of you guys. You know, you have no idea. I'm so proud of you. I'm proud. Okay, so why am I proud of you? I feel like Kevin Hart. Let me tell you why. I mean, he might not be politically correct these days. I don't know. But, you know, he always says, well, let me tell you why. Well, first of all, you're beautiful people. You've always been, and you're still beautiful. And to hear your conversations, even before the show, just warmed my heart. And then to see you live and your back and forth is just adorable. Y'all funny. And I don't think I ever got to really know you like this, like what, just to see you in your element. Most of the time you're in my element. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, most of the time the party is at my house. Well, now the party's at your house, and it's just it's amazing. I love you, and I'm honored to be here with you today.
Thank you so much. Well, I will just comment. You know, we said it's our 21st wedding anniversary, and Rickie and the Agape Choir, and Nikki Harris, and the whole crew was on the beach with us. We got married, and every year I think, how in the world did that happen? And how grateful I am that it did. And so we just you know, appreciate you. I've told people many times since then, you need to know this, that I survived ministerial school because I was singing in the choir, and that's what kept me going.
Yeah. Listen. I feel like Tim McAfee Lewis. Listen. You got to know who Tim is to know how funny that is. But they know who Tim McAfee Lewis is.
That's right.
You know, but I was in ministerial school for, I believe I did 1 quarter.
Yeah, if I remember right, I think I was around there.
I was like, clearly, I'm in the wrong place. Maybe I needed to be singing somebody else's songs, and I would have stayed.
But I just want to add to that, because that's the way I passed my prac test too. But because I was in the choir, because I remember sitting at the table taking the test, going,
yeah,
okay, you know, and then going into choir lyrics and starting to write. Oh yeah, okay, you know, it was the answer. It was the answer to everything.
Yeah. You guys, 21 years.
And I'll tell you too, that's how the title of the show came up, because what Gil didn't say and alluded to in the talk in the beginning was that it wasn't a banner week for him. He's been a little on edge, and he put on In the Beginning yesterday, your song In the Beginning, and called me sobbing.
Genesis.
Genesis, yeah.
Wow.
Called me sobbing, and he's like, the title In the Beginning. Okay. I'm like, I think the title's 21 and still fun, and he's like, In the Beginning. I was like, got it. So.
Oh wow, that's so sweet and so beautiful, man. You guys, y'all did it right. You know, now I'll put it this way: you got it right. You get it right.
Well, and I think the key to that is we're still working on it.
That's what I mean.
Absolutely, it's a constant work.
Yeah, it's a constant work, and I love the thing where your fingers are like this. You know, in the beginning, you know, it was just, there's a lot. When I get married again, I'm gonna say, let's go mentor with Robyn and Gil first.
Well, hopefully we'll still be around. And
right, because I ain't trying to do it yet.
But I'll tell you, I'll never forget, and then we'll talk about things that everybody will be interested in, not just us. But I'll never forget sitting in Hawaii with you after we sang at that church, and you sitting me down and having a conversation with me about marriage. And it was like, I think we both were having some out of body experience. I remember we were sitting like in the window of this church, and you were just downloading all this stuff. I can't even tell you what you said. I just remember being there and going and feeling like I was trying to take mental notes. And I know it was ingrained in me. And I know all I know is whatever you said was super important and really insightful. So it was just, I don't know. That was like a very interesting moment in my life.
Wow.
So anyway.
I'm telling somebody about marriage. That's good.
You know, we all grow and learn through it all, right?
Yeah.
You know, and if we truly believe it's all good, you know, the moments when it's not, or when it feels like it's not, you know, somewhere in there is the next thing. And that's always been the thing that, you know, singing music and that stuff has brought me back to, is finding that place where it's coming around. Like, I can get through this because I know the truth, and the truth is bigger than what this moment looks like.
Yes. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And I think it's in that light, it's always, you know, when it's not good or not good, it's taking us to that moment where we can have a new beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can begin again. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And so in the beginning, so speaking of beginning again, we are beginning again. Actually, not again. We're just beginning this process of having you come out to Albuquerque and be in concert at Rio Grande Center for Spiritual Living. And I'm so excited about just all the possibilities. You know, we're talking about the beginnings of New Thought New Mexico again, and how to bring all the New Thought people together.
Wow.
And we're having, you know, we're meeting people that you've had connections with for a while that I haven't. And I think I'm getting lined up to be on some television show to say something about you coming, which is a little bit terrifying.
Yeah.
But
you can do it.
I'm going to have to figure it out. But I just want to share something with everyone, though, around this. And that is, the most fun about this whole thing for me has been that you've said to me, I just want to come and support. And that's taken a certain amount of pressure off on one hand, but on the other hand, it's been like so affirming to have that. And I want to appreciate you for that, because you're not just coming to be Diva Rickie.
Right. And I never am Diva Rickie, but people see me as Diva Rickie, you know. But you know, on the night of the concert, though, don't be trying to tell me what to do now. That's right. When the diva comes up, you know, when you're with the band, and you know, and but it's such a beautiful dance that I've learned to do, and learned to do it with grace, so that it's not an egotistical thing, but it's a preference. It's like, hey, I prefer the music to sound like this, and because this is where the vibration gets to really expand, as opposed to the place where some musicians know. And because of my years of doing this, I can hear what's being played, and I already know, you know, so I can say, this is the way I prefer it. So my diva does come out there, right? It does come out there a little bit, because I know what I want, and I know how I feel, and I know when somebody does a riff, and I know their experience. I can hear it in their fingers. I just know it.
Wow.
I can hear it in their fingers, and I'm going like, this is not a coffee house experience. Or jazz. This is not a happy hour. This is not a happy hour. And that chord you just played took me to martinis. You know, and we're not talking. I don't want that feeling. And so I have a reputation for even great musicians like John Barnes. It's like, and this was you guys might have been in the concert that night. This was at the Ford Theater in Los Angeles, and the choir was in concert, and the great John Barnes. I mean, John Barnes has produced so many people. Peaches and Herbs, Reunited. He co-wrote Smooth Criminal for Michael Jackson. I mean, he's all that, right? And he also produced In the Land of I Am, the CD, but the album. But at this time, he hadn't done that. He was playing in the band with us graciously just because he wanted to be with the music. And I'm learning who this being is. I don't realize King John is here with us. For me, he's just John, right? I don't find out about Smooth Criminal till many years later. But anyway, so we're there and he's playing. We're doing Mother, Father, God, how great thou art. And there's a thing that he did inside of that I'm going like, huh? And my face went like, and when he told the story, he's like, she looked at me like I hurt her so bad. He's like, what? He said the look on my face. And he used to crack up, and he would tell that he was like, when did you get the face? He said, when you get the face, I was like, if I wanted that, I would have written that. I'm aware of that chord, dude. If I wanted that, I would have written. I don't want, the song goes like this because that's what the Spirit revealed, and that's what I want to hear. So anyway, that's the diva in me. But anyway.
But having been in choir with you for 10 years or so, there's this difference between diva and clarity.
Yeah.
Yes.
You are clear, and when you get clear, sometimes it's a little scary. It's a little diva-ish.
Yeah.
Yes, New Thought Media. We did have the Agape Choir at our wedding. We did.
Indeed.
And Nikki Harris. We did. And the Feeling Tones.
Oh. Well, I gotta say, as much as we love you and Robyn so much, and we all appreciated that you gave us a Hawaii experience. Because I'm not so sure we all would have showed up in Podunk.
No. Well, actually, I think the actual was sort of reversed, and that was there was the Maui Cultural Center or the Unity Church. I don't remember which, but something, right? And there was that piece, and the choir was going, and we're like, okay, if we went too, would you sing at our wedding?
Gil, you don't have to tell all of our secrets. Man, now that great.
Oh, but that was a great concert, as I recall. What's the guy, the actor, the one that the old cowboy Clint Eastwood was there?
Oh, was he?
Mm-hmm.
I remember that.
Well, know that Mike Tyson was at the wedding. Do you remember that?
I do not.
He was at the wedding. He was not for us. He had one of those houses outside of the hotel, and he was standing on his patio and watching the whole wedding. And then our friends actually went in there to go to the bathroom. I think she was a cute little girl, and they were like, hey, yeah, come on in.
So Mike Tyson was at your wedding.
That's right. As a matter of fact, in trying to take pictures for our wedding afterwards, we lost her cousin to Mike Tyson.
I couldn't find my family. You're like taking pictures with Mike Tyson. I'm like, hello.
Oh no.
And John says, as a gay man, ain't nothing wrong with a true diva. Rickie, you touch my heart and soul with your divine music. Love you, diva.
Oh, that's so beautiful. That's beautiful. I'll accept
Savannah says hi. Savannah, Reverend Savannah's out there.
Okay. Reverend Savannah.
Yeah.
She became a minister.
Yes, she did.
She grew up and became a minister.
Yeah.
So back to in the beginning. I want to know, when did you really know this was what you were going to do? Or when did you want to be, or when did you?
What is this? Is a songwriter or what?
Yes.
Alluding to a songwriter.
a musician, a songwriter.
I was always a musician. I didn't decide to do that.
Like when you were little?
Yeah. I mean, I could always play, but I was a strange kid in that I always knew I I'm still kind of strange. You know how you think everybody's your age around you, and then you realize they're much younger than you. Like I had these these weird assumptions about life, but I didn't know they were assumptions. I thought they were facts. So I just assumed that I made up my own birthday because my mother had so many kids, she couldn't possibly know when my birthday was. So I made my birthday up to be October 10th. And that was my birthday, October 10th. But we know that's not the truth. I was born October 10th. It's on the birth certificate, but I didn't know all of that. I was a little girl, and I'm just making up what I think, but it's already been dialed into me. So when I was 3 years old, I could play music. I could pick out melodies, and I picked out "O King Wenceslas," and of course, I thought that was the song that I wrote, and I thought that was my song, and so I would always sing it, but then I forgot the end, the last part, and so I was in this department store in Atlanta. I had moved to Atlanta to live with my aunt for a very long time, about 4.5 years of my youth. And I was in a department store. It was around Christmas time, and this song came on. And I'm wondering, are they going to remember the end of it? And so when they go like dun 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 dun, I go like, yes, I remember because it was my song, So music has always been not just a companion for me, but a way shore, and it helps me to navigate. I became a dedicated songwriter at 19, and I only became it then because the songwriter who was getting all the attention on the campus, and everybody was all around him and singing his songs all the time, and and I'm thinking like, why is it that he gets to write and I don't, and nobody loves music more than I do. Nobody loves music more than that. Was my thought of the world, that nobody loves music more than I. And they were singing some little song around the piano in the dormitory. And I just stormed out of it. I was pissed off that he got to write a song and I didn't. And I went right to the rehearsal room and gave the guard outside $3 to go inside. And I sat down on the piano and I wrote a song. And it was actually kind of about him because we had a little coming together and falling out, and it wasn't going to ever be that anymore. So I was saying, my first song was, "I'm saying goodbye to a broken heart," and I load into this piano, and it's all this anger and disappointment and all this stuff, and I'm saying, and I'm writing my butt off. Don't know it, but I am. And the song is still a great R&B song. I mean, I don't sing it, but it's a great. It could be a hit.
Wow.
Could be a hit. And they began to roll after that. It was just like one song. I mean, and then 2 days later, I sang that song and for the freshman class, and all the freshmen stood up and cheered. And I'm saying goodbye to a broken heart. I'm saying. It wasn't not releasing "I Let Go" or nothing,
But it unlocked the floodgates, like for a whole new piece of you to open up.
Yeah, and it flooded. It flooded. It flooded like it flooded when I came to Agape. Because when I came to Agape, and I was and I got ordained in the Spirit at Michael's ordination. Michael Bernard Beckwith's ordination. He was being ordained or installed at Agape. And at that service, I had so much fear. There was so much disappointment. There was so much I was working with. I was a parent. I had to bring Georgia and Stephan, my son and daughter that were just 5 and 6. I had to bring them with me there. And at the last minute, I didn't have a ride, but B.T. Taylor thought of me and called me. And because he did, I had a ride there. So by the time I got to the Miramar Sheraton Hotel, which is where Agape used to meet originally, initially. By the time I got there, this is 1988. I had a good facade, but I was breaking inside because I knew there was a lot that was off in the marriage that I was in, and I was sitting there, just one thing after the other was just affirming for me my nothingness. I was, every time somebody got up to sing, they were better than me. Every time somebody played the piano, they could read, they were better than me. They could read music, so they were better than me. It was just like, and they had me at the end of the program. I'm thinking like, how will I follow this? And everything was, how will I follow this person is so much better than me? There's, Cynthia James, everything was like that. That's how little I was inside of myself. Mm. And then a singer got up there named Terry Bradford. And Terry Bradford was smiling, and I'm thinking like, and who is this guy? And he's smiling like this, with his hair was straight. And I'm like, and who is this guy? And then he calms down his face. The music starts, and he looks out and he says, if you believe within yourself, you'll know that no one will change the path that you must go. And then he said, believe what you feel and know you're right, because the time will come around when they'll say it's yours. And when he said that, that's when I lost everything. It was like I had an out-of-body experience that took me way up high on a mountain. And he said, and the spirit was speaking to me. It's like, this is what we have for you. We have this for you. You made those decisions from feeling very small about yourself. But this is what we have. And I'm telling you, when I came down off that mountain, I was good. And it began to gush. The music began to gush because I was willing. I was in love with God. I was here for God. I was not afraid to say I was. And I began to make the decisions that I needed to make so that my life could unfold in the ways that it did.
Mm. Mm.
It's amazing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard that story. I know I haven't heard that story. And I really appreciate that. That is so wonderful.
Yeah, it was something, because when you get, I guess the word is slayed in the spirit. Like when I was in my 20s, I thought I knew everything, like I told you before. I was so headstrong. And I thought I was spiritual, right? And then a friend of mine took me to Philly to meet her aunt. And her aunt, I was making judgments about her. I said, she ain't that, she doing all this and she doing all that. And so we were talking, and she said, you're smart. She said, you really are smart. She said, but one day, the Holy Spirit gonna get a hold of you. And when that happens, she said, Lord, I want to see that. I want to be here to see that. And Aunt Mary was like, when the Holy Spirit get hold of you, it's gonna be all over. It's kind of like she's got something special, but she's in the way of it. And how many times have we seen that, where people have something special, but they're in the way of it. And they're not in the way of it, but they're all in the way of it. They're blocking their own good. And coming to Agape in those days and finding the love there and the receptivity, it was what I needed. It was what my soul needed. And then it began to do what it was put here to do. But when I say I wrote a song in them days, I really did write those songs. It wasn't like when I was 3 years old. I really did. I really did write those.
You were copying songs when you got there.
No, I wasn't copying songs.
But I love that. I can just see the vision of little Rickie being like, I wrote that song. I can feel that.
Oh, yeah. And well, I was being informed also from an angelic or some kind of indigenous realm that was showing up for me every morning. So they would show up on the windowsill and wake me up every morning, and they'd be there and they'd be dancing. And my thought of that now is that I was being initiated into this joyful way of being, because they had such joy all the time. All the time. They would go like, Rickie, Rickie, wake up, wake up. And you can't tell me that that wasn't real. And I didn't tell anybody about it, because it was second nature.
Right.
And, and they're still with me. They don't show up in form like that, but the presence, the holy presence is in me. And now I can just relax into that and just give thanks and go and have a good day.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And Savannah's asking, what inspired In the Land of I Am? Those songs have gotten her through some very difficult times.
It's so deep about In the Land of I Am. God is my shepherd. You guys will know that one. And I Am the Rock. Many songs were inspired from my making my way through a dark night of the soul. And I used to have like a depression that would just come on me, and it would come from nowhere. Probably was coming from the food I was eating or some kind of nutrient. You know what I'm saying? Especially when I was in New York, I know it was coming from them Kit Kats. But at this time in the 90s, there was we carry a lot on our shoulders, as we do as parents. And I was raising kids. Money was short, even though I was saying I have all that I need. I didn't have enough to pay my bills sometimes, So the thing is that when that thing is beating up on you, it's like music would be thrown into my awareness some kind of way. And because I know how to listen, because this is my greatest asset are my ears. It's almost like a life raft that comes from some other place, and a melody will come. And at one point of my suffering, that I didn't know my grandparents, because I never knew any grandparents or any older people at all. And Greta, I had a conversation with Greta Sushita, Reverend Greta, and Greta was talking about she found this button that belonged to her grandmother. It was on a sweater, and it was a sweet story about her grandmother. But I was just so kind of like back in that little space at the ordination. You know what I mean? It was like I was in that little space of I'm not worthy, and so I went to sleep, and when I woke up, I was just in a total funk. I couldn't do anything. And then all I heard was, in the land of I am more than I have been, I am more than I will be. And it sounded like my indigenous tribe singing. In the land of I am more than I have. And I was like, I went from I don't have this, I don't have the, to what's that? It got, what's the word? It got my attention. It got my attention. And I went to the piano, and it was right there. It was right there for me. And in those days, I would meet once a week with a great guitarist named Richard Peikoff. And Richard Peikoff played differently. He played the piano. He played the acoustic guitar differently than anybody I've ever seen. And 12 string. And he could just, it was just a rolling sound. And we would play together, and he would put that acoustic sound underneath, and it was just fire, as the young people say. It was fire. And when I went into the studio, it was amazing what John Barnes was able to put around that song.
Thank you.
Well, I just want to share with you that I struggle with depression and have for a long time, and I really hear your story. I really get it.
Mm-hmm.
And And it's so beautiful to hear how you've been able to acknowledge that and yet move through it.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, that's really powerful.
yeah.
I was thinking of one of your other songs that always just struck me, in part because, you know, I came into the New Thought teaching out of a Christian background. I'd been a minister in the Methodist Church. You know, I have this whole different thing going on. And the Jesus song.
Mm.
And I always I felt the depth of that. It felt like it was such a real place you were coming from in that song.
Yeah.
And I always appreciated that. I just thought I'd share that.
Yeah, that's a great song. You know, that one was written in Italy.
Mm.
Did you know that story?
Mm.
Oh yeah, you don't know a story about the Jesus song?
I don't think I know it.
Can I tell the story of the Jesus song on your 21st anniversary?
Jesus.
It was around, I believe must have been around 2002. It must have been. And anyway, I was at the Mariapolis. I was at the Mariapolis Retreat Center in Trent, Italy, and for some sessions with His Holiness, the Dalai Lama. And it was an amazing retreat. And there were only about 40 thought leaders that were there. And I was there to do music. And it was great. So at the end of one of the sessions, His Holiness says that, you know, the most important things we can do, one of the most important things you can do in a lifetime is to make friends. And that people in America don't often make friends. They don't make friends with the people around them. That's why I'm really proud of the work you're doing to help bring the community, the New Thought communities together there in the queue. You know, I heard y'all call it not the ABQ, but in the queue. You know, sometimes, you know, you got a church over here, a church over there, a neighbor here, a neighbor there, and folks aren't speaking to each other. And when we can speak to each other and care for one another, something of life begins to bubble up for us. That's really, really good. Well, while I was there, there was a situation that happened that night after the session was done, and Michael was praying for somebody on the phone, and I just kind of went to sleep. But I was having a whole lot of thoughts about these crucifixes that were all over the place, and every time I looked at one, I would just go like, "No, that ain't it. That ain't it." You know, I couldn't feel the reverence for it, or there was just a lot about the crucifixion and just about the journey of Jesus that I was separate from in my heart. And I went to sleep, and I was awakened in the middle of the night, and the voice said, meditate, get a chair and meditate. It was like as clear as that. And I was like, not in any mind to go like, not now. You know, I sat down. I followed the directions. I sat down, and I just was very still. I mean, it was like nothing. It was like I went into nothing. It was a dark room. Michael was in the bed, asleep, and all of a sudden, this love just began to stream all through me. Out. It was, I don't know where this love enveloped me. It was like, and this one didn't come from like me thinking little of myself. You know, it wasn't from a scene of me thinking that I'm not this, I'm not that. It was nothing like that. I was kind of thinking like Jesus isn't all of that. And I'm here to tell you, this presence took me and it informed me. And it's like, I am not who they say I am. I'm not that that's not who I am. I was with you when you were a child. I was with you all the time. I've been with you. I love you. I love you. And it was, this love was just like love. It was beyond anything that I can describe here. And all I know is that I had to leave and go to the piano in the middle of the night. It must have been 3 a.m. And Michael was like, "Where are you going?" I was like, I gotta go to the piano. I gotta find a piano. Well, he knew that about me anyway, that I would wake up with a song and go like, I just leave the bed and go to the piano. It's like, I know how to do that, you know. But so I'm going to the piano, and he said as I walked out of the door, there were all these. He said there was a throng, so many little dark-skinned beings that were like very little, that were at my feet as I went out the door. That when I left with a whole legion walking behind me. And I went to the piano and I began to play. Gave up on Jesus, I didn't understand. And I just cried. The whole time the song played, I cried. And the way the piano was situated, people were walking in at 4 a.m. A.T.R. Rodney, he shows up 5 o'clock for his morning walk. And I tell the story. Penny and these people from the Fetzer Institute, they show up. I tell the story. Everybody's crying. I'm playing this song. And that's the way the Jesus song was born. And so when I saw His Holiness the next morning, when everybody gathered, and he was like, well, how's everybody? And he said, anybody want to share whatever, and somebody said something about something. And I went next. I was like, well, at the end of the session yesterday, you said that we're here to make friends. And I said, so I want you to know that last night a lot happened, but I made friends with Jesus. And he said, Jesus, good friend to have. I was like, you know what? Jesus is a good friend to have. Yeah.
Wow. Woo.
That's
amazing. A lot.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's why I was encouraged by Michael to write a book about how the songs come, because he knew how amazing the stories are, and so Let My Soul Surrender was that.
Right.
Yes.
It was that kind of book where, yeah, I'm glad I did. But I never forget those stories. They're with me.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, and depending upon the day when we were in choir, we didn't always get those stories either. But I just remember when you first brought the Jesus song, like I remember you singing the first part going, gave up on Jesus. And then I was like, Jesus? She said Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh, and I had to go to a different place and then it was such an opening.
Yeah.
For possibility.
Yeah.
I mean, it was such a connector. And I just want to honor you, Rickie, because, you have done so much work to connect us all and to make friends and to become that unit of, possibility.
Mm-hmm.
And your music and like we always say, we never know who we're touching. Mm-hmm. You'll never know all the people that you've touched or the lives you've changed. And it's just, I don't know. I'm so honored to be part of your tribe.
Yeah.
That we've come together on this journey and this pathway. Yeah. And I can't believe it, but our time is up.
Isn't that amazing?
It's amazing. But I don't want you to go away without, I don't want you to go away. It was the end of the sentence.
I thought we were going to be talking about lovey-dovey stuff.
Well, you'll have to come back and we can do that. This is lovey-dovey stuff. This is the lovey-dovey stuff of our soul.
This is the real lovey-dovey.
Right? I mean, that's really, I always remember the one talk that Michael did when he said, and I don't remember most of them, but I remember when he talked. When he talked about how the music is in our cells and in our body, and like when people have died and they cut open their cells, and like if they were unhappy, that if they played dirges, and if they were happy, then there was the happy tone. But I mean, music is in us. We are the music, and so it's just so great. So I want to let people to say. I want to let you say how they can get on your mailing list, or any of that stuff, whatever you want to share. And then I want Gil to invite everyone to Rickie's concert.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, if you want to find anything else, anything about me, if you go to rickiebyars.org, rickiebyars.org, RICKIEBYARS, spell my name right, and subscribe to the newsletter. The newsletter comes out once a month. It publishes around the first or second week of the month, and I don't hit you up with a whole lot of stuff. I give quite a few wonderful things in my newsletters, and that's the way you can connect with me. I have Soul Fulfilling, my podcast on Wednesday night tonight. That happens from 6 to 7:30, 6 to 7:20-ish Pacific time. And I do the Sunday devotional. That's on YouTube and Facebook as well. So yeah, just find me.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so great. Thank you so much. And you're going to come to Albuquerque and be with us live here. That's right. Warm up a little bit, maybe, or by then it may be cold. I don't know, but
Oh no, it's gonna feel good, and
it's gonna
in
be
the
warm.
ABQ.
And it's going to be great. A lot of fun, and we're calling it Connect and Celebrate. And that's what it's about. It's about an opportunity to connect and celebrate, to be together, to share the music, to share with one another, and to have a good time. So please come to rgcsl.org, and you can get information about tickets, etc. There will be some more information coming up with New Thought Media Network. We're also going to be actually, for those who are not directly in ABQ, there will be a way to watch the concert. So that's very exciting. So we'll have a sign up available for that as well. So we want everyone to be here, and we want everyone to be here in spirit, and have a good time. And thank you so much for coming, and thank you so much for being with us today.
Oh, you're welcome.
And I can't even tell you what's going on in my body and my heart right now. So I just won't. It's just too much.
Yeah,
It's too much.
Thank you, everyone, for being out there. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you, all of you, and John, and everybody. I know there's more of you that I can't name. And we just really just take one moment of what you felt during the show and spread it out in the world, and just keep on rocking the love, everybody. And we'll see you next week.